For over 3,000 years, Egypt was defended by one of the ancient world's most organized military forces. From the Old Kingdom to the New Kingdom Empire that stretched from Nubia to Syria, Egyptian armies protected the Nile and projected pharaonic power across the known world. But how was this army actually organized? In this video, we'll explore 8 levels of the ancient Egyptian military hierarchy. From the common foot soldier to the pharaoh who commanded as a living god, each rank reveals how Egypt built its power. Before we begin, let me know in the comments. Have you ever wondered how ancient armies were actually structured? Conscripted infantry. At the base stood the conscripted infantry, ordinary farmers called to serve when the pharaoh required soldiers. During the Old and Middle Kingdoms, Egypt relied heavily on these temporary levies, pulling men from villages during the low Nile season when agricultural work slowed. These conscripts received basic training and fought with simple spears, wooden clubs, and large shields made from animal hide. Most wore little armor. Perhaps a linen kilt and occasionally a leather cap. Their effectiveness came from numbers rather than professional skill. Conscription wasn't optional. Royal officials tracked male populations and could requisition soldiers. However, successful campaigns brought plunder, and veterans sometimes received land grants. Temple reliefs show these infantry in massed formations at battles during conflicts with Nubia. Which would be worse, being conscripted as a farmer or serving your entire life as a professional soldier? Let me know what you think. Nubian Mercenaries. Egypt frequently employed Nubian warriors as mercenaries, particularly from the Middle Kingdom onward. The Nubians, called Medjay, came from regions south of the First Cataract and brought specialized skills that Egyptian conscripts lacked. Nubian mercenaries excelled as archers and scouts. They carried powerful composite bows and fought in loose formations, emphasizing individual skill. Their knowledge of desert warfare made them invaluable for border patrols and campaigns into hostile territory. Egyptian art depicts Nubians with distinctive features: darker skin, short kilts, feathered headdresses, and their characteristic bows. The Medjay eventually became an elite force and desert police, trusted to guard royal tombs in the Valley of the Kings. These warriors brought diversity to Egyptian armies, combining traditional fighting methods with Egyptian tactics to create a more versatile military force. Standard bearer. The standard bearer held a position of significant honor within Egyptian military units. These soldiers carried unit standards and regimental symbols that identified formations in battle and served as rallying points during chaos. Egyptian standards took various forms: poles topped with sacred symbols, images of gods, or representations of the pharaoh. These represented divine protection and pharaonic authority on the battlefield. Standard bearers needed courage. They stood in front ranks, making them primary targets. Losing a standard meant terrible disgrace. Capturing enemy standards brought immense glory and rewards. Tomb paintings show standard bearers prominently during military parades and battles. At Kadesh, Ramesses II's inscriptions mention specific standards during his chariot charge against the Hittites. Here's a question. Would you rather carry your unit's sacred standard knowing you're a target, or fight anonymously in the ranks? Comment below. Chariot Crew. The chariot revolutionized Egyptian warfare during the Second Intermediate Period. By the New Kingdom, chariot divisions formed the elite strike force of pharaonic armies. Each chariot carried 2 men, a driver and a warrior. The driver controlled the horses and maneuvered the vehicle at speed. The warrior, usually an archer, shot composite bows at enemy forces or threw javelins. Chariot crews came from Egypt's social elite. Maintaining horses and chariots was expensive, and training required years. Young nobles learned chariotry from childhood. In battle, Egyptian chariots operated as mobile archer platforms, circling enemy formations while shooting arrows. At Megiddo, Thutmose III's chariots shattered Canaanite forces. At Kadesh, Egyptian chariots fought in history's largest chariot battle. Chariot service meant prestige, wealth, and close association with Pharaoh himself. Scribe of the army. Military scribes held crucial administrative positions, managing logistics, records, and organization that allowed campaigns to function. These educated officials came from scribal schools. Army scribes tracked troop numbers, recorded equipment, calculated food rations, and documented battles. They inventoried plunder, registered prisoners, and maintained rosters. Their hieratic script filled papyri, traveling with armies. This wasn't glamorous, but it was essential. Scribes ensured soldiers received food, that water sources were identified, that reinforcements arrived when needed. They calculated provisions for months-long campaigns. Scribes also verified battle reports. When pharaohs claimed thousands of enemy dead, scribes counted the hands cut from corpses as proof. These grim tallies, recorded on temple walls, depended on scribal accuracy. Military scribes represented organizational sophistication that separated Egyptian armies from less structured forces. Troop commanders led units ranging from 50 to several hundred soldiers. These officers typically came from military families or were promoted soldiers. A commander's responsibilities included training men, maintaining discipline, managing equipment, and leading in battle. He needed to know his soldiers personally and keep morale high during difficult campaigns. Egyptian sources describe commanders leading specific formations: infantry blocks, archer companies, or chariot squadrons. At Kadesh, Ramesses II's army was organized into 4 divisions: Amun, Ra, Ptah, and Seth, each led by multiple commanders. These commanders wore distinctive insignia, specific weapons, decorated kilts, or ceremonial staffs. Tomb reliefs show them receiving rewards: gold flies of valor, ceremonial weapons or land grants. Combat leadership required courage. Commanders fought in front ranks, visible to their men. The position offered upward mobility and wealth through campaign plunder. Would you want to be a commander responsible for hundreds of lives, or a scribe safely recording battles? Drop your answer below. Generals commanded entire armies or major divisions, serving as Pharaoh's senior military officers. These men came from elite families with close connections to the royal court. Egyptian generals planned campaigns, decided strategy, allocated resources, and sometimes governed conquered territories. During the New Kingdom, generals commanded armies from Syria to Nubia, maintaining Egypt's empire. Famous generals shaped history. Ahmose expelled the Hyksos and founded the 18th dynasty. Horemheb rose from general to pharaoh. These weren't just battlefield commanders, they were political players whose success could lead to supreme power. Generals received extraordinary rewards: vast estates, gold, slaves, and honors recorded in their tombs. Their burial chapels feature detailed campaign accounts, listing cities conquered and enemies defeated. The position required political skill as much as military competence. Generals navigated court intrigues while carefully balancing loyalty with personal ambition. Pharaoh. At the summit stood the pharaoh, supreme commander and living embodiment of divine authority. The pharaoh wasn't merely a political leader, he was Horus incarnate, a god-king whose military commands carried divine weight. Pharaohs personally led major campaigns. Thutmose III conducted 17 campaigns into Canaan and Syria. Ramesses II fought the Hittites at Kadesh, personally leading chariot charges. Ramesses III defeated the Sea Peoples when other Bronze Age civilizations collapsed. Temple inscriptions depict pharaohs as superhuman warriors, but they reflected real military leadership. Pharaohs trained in warfare from youth, learning chariotry, archery, and tactics. The pharaoh's military role extended beyond battlefield command. He decided when Egypt would wage war, allocated resources, appointed generals, and distributed rewards. His word could mobilize the nation's entire manpower and wealth. Pharaohs also negotiated as supreme diplomats. Ramesses II's peace treaty with the Hittites represents one of history's earliest recorded peace agreements. Religious ceremonies reinforced Pharaoh's authority. Before campaigns, pharaohs consulted oracles and made offerings to Amun-Ra. Victory proved divine favor. The pharaoh stood alone at the top, a god among men, commanding armies in life and expecting to lead divine forces in the afterlife. Those were 8 levels of ancient Egypt's military hierarchy, from the conscripted farmer to the pharaoh, who commanded as a living god. Each level reveals how Egypt organized military power across 3,000 years. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And comment below, which ancient civilization's military should we explore next?